Good evening. It's so nice to see such a full house tonight. I'm so glad that all of you are here. I guess we're ready to get started. Kim, if you would please call the roll.
Mr. Austin.
Present.
Ms. Quetch. Here. Mr. Webb.
Here.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Here.
And Mayor Field.
Here. Now I'm going to ask Councilmember Wayne Austin to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome Brad Farmer, who's the Executive Director of Faith in Action, to open us in prayer tonight.
Thank you very much. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, God, we thank you for another day you've blessed us with. God, we thank you for the town of Abingdon that we are blessed to call our home. God, I thank you for the mayor, the town manager, the council members, and all the employees and staff of the town of Abingdon that help lead and run our town so well. God, I just pray that you would give them clarity and wisdom in every decision they make and every action they take, that it would be beneficial to the residents, business owners, and visitors to the town of Abingdon. And we pray that you would continue to keep us safe and move us forward, God. We thank you for all these things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer.
Now we need to approve the agenda, so I will accept a motion to approve our agenda. Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
So, motion made by Vice Mayor Anderson and seconded by Councilmember Austin. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion. Kim, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch. Aye. Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Field.
Aye. We have minutes to approve from October 3rd and October 19th. I will entertain a motion to,
I think we need to do those separately because of the...
yes. Okay, so first I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from October 3rd.
So moved.
All second.
Okay, so the October 3rd minutes, the motion was made by Mr. Austin. It was seconded by Vice Mayor Anderson. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, Kim, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch. Aye. Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Field.
Aye. And now I will accept a motion to approve the minutes from October 19th.
I'll make that motion.
You have a second?
All second.
So we have a motion by Ms. Quetch, a second by Vice Mayor Anderson. Is there any discussion?
Just let the record show that I did have a death in the family and was not here for the 19th.
Okay, Kim, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Mr. Webb.
Abstain.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Field.
Aye. Should we have amended the agenda to move the proclamation about exit 17 forward, or do we want to keep that in the same order?
It's up to you.
What do you think?
I'll just keep rolling.
Okay, okay. Now we are open for public comments. And we have one person signed up for public comment. If you will please come forward, state your address, and reminder that you're limited to 3 minutes.
Good evening, council members. Condolences on the list if you're a member of the fire family. I grew up in a fire family, and I can't imagine what this is. But I'm here tonight to speak about Hagee Street. Last time we talked about some solutions. I brought this up to Mr. Cochran back last year when y'all was at the joint meeting of the supervisors. And I've worked with him this summer, and we really hadn't gotten anywhere. I've suggested the 25-foot 2-inch strip across Preston Street. Now this is about 2 inches. No, that's about 2 inches right there. Okay, their plan is to put a 4-inch, that big, strip around all the houses. I talked to Lisa Andis today. She owns those 2 houses. She liked the Preston Street idea better. got a couple of pictures you can have when it's over. But, you know, I don't understand why the water has to go down Heggie Street. I mean, it just seems like that there's some force from above that's making the water. You know, says it can't go anywhere else, it has to go down Heggie Street, where it floods the houses, the car lot, the mill. While there's a 4-inch gutter in front of my house, that really little water comes in. And I have heard so many excuses of why it can't work. One of them was that this culvert was crushed. So here was the culvert before it was crushed. I brought a floor jack from the farm and I fixed it. It took all of 5 minutes. I mean, that was, you know, to say we can't do this because it's going to take 5 minutes work. I don't understand. Like I said, it seems like there's somebody from above that just doesn't want this to happen. The tunnel is not stopped up. It's partially stopped up, but it's not completely stopped up, and water does run through it. I believe if you'd run some more water through it, like what I'm proposing, that it would unstop itself. The erosion would just clean it out. It goes down into a concrete distribution box that the town put in. And I don't understand why you don't want to use it or why you replaced this distribution box if you wasn't going to use it. I mean, I don't understand the way that Mr. Cochran wants to do is going to take 175 inches of feet of 4-inch concrete. My way uses 25 feet of 2-inch concrete. My way makes much more sense. It's much cheaper. It does a much better job. And I'm out of time. Y'all have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Moving forward, we have a public hearing. It is the public hearing is for a proposed special use permit to renovate the existing digital marquee sign located at Jonesboro Road and VHCC Drive intersection, specifically at the entrance to Virginia Highlands Community College. And I would like to welcome Mayana Rice to present this to us.
Good evening. Yeah, so the first item tonight is the Commonwealth of Virginia, Virginia Community College System as the owner, and Virginia Highlands Community College, Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center as the applicant, is requesting a special use permit for a comprehensive sign plan. Lately, we've seen quite a few of these come in front of you, so you kind of know the drill. But a comprehensive sign plan is allowed if it's approved by the Abingdon Planning Commission and the Town Council per section 8-4-2-C of Article 8 Community Design Center Standards. So there is an existing sign, which I had asked to be put here on the screen because there were a couple pages that might not have made it into your packet the first go round. I know we updated it for you. So you can see the existing sign and their proposal. So the person who is the group that's responsible for a final motion on a special use permit is the Town Council, but this has gone in front of the Planning Commission prior to here. The sign is located in B2, which is the General Business District. The Virginia Highlands Community College is actually located in O&I, which is office and institutional, and there are several other tenants on the sign that are located in the Plan Technology District. So the project is allowed to apply for a comprehensive sign plan through the PTD and the location in the B2. So a comprehensive sign plan can be used in situations where the applicants are looking for flexibility from a strict interpretation of the sign regs. So in normal zoning, you would end up having to go through a variance process if you wanted something different from the underlying standards. But we added a comprehensive sign plan because signs are flexible, and sometimes, as we've seen, people want different sized ones in different locations. So in this situation, they're looking at flexibility for the total size, the setback, and the changeable square footage. And the changeable square footage is what they have here as the full color message center on the image. So the applicant is proposing to renovate the sign, and the new sign will include a 4G cellular connectivity custom steel frame mounting and grounding kit. It is going to have a double-face RGB display. It'll have a single-phase 120 volts with dimming levels from 100 to auto and manual. The sign will also include character sizes of 2.2 inches and a horizontal viewing angle of 160 degrees. One of the things that you will see in the code, and we have not added it as a condition, is that illumination is part of what is already regulated with the underlying zoning standard. So illumination could be no greater than 10,000 foot candles from sunrise to sunset, and 700 foot candles from sunset to sunrise. So those are already built in. So at night, the sign, the digital messaging board will have to be dimmed, and during the day, it will be allowed to be brighter. The electronic lines have to be underground, which is already here. And the other part here says, no sign shall be illuminated in such a way that light may shine into oncoming traffic, affect highway safety, or shine directly into a residential dwelling unit zoned. There isn't any residential units out here. We also passed this by, since the Planning Commission, we actually had a question about this from a public request, and we did pass this by VDOT. VDOT indicated that, one, it is our local roadway, so we do hold the standards for zoning. They also indicated that the location of the sign and the light that was proposed would not actually affect drivers. So we did go through that additional step and have that available for you tonight. So the existing electronic message display will be removed and replaced with a 7x12 electronic display. So it's going to be 84 square feet. The comprehensive sign plan is asking for flexibility because that is larger than we would normally allow for that sign. A freestanding sign is to be no larger than 60 square feet, and this sign is well above that. The aluminum cabinets are 168 square feet, and the two-sided 8x10 aluminum cabinets on either side are 160 square feet. So in total, the sign is 412 square feet. So that's much larger than normally would be allowed in the zoning district. However, the sign has been here for a long time, and so the structure, the actual physical structure that is around each of the messaging areas is not changing. It is just the square footage of all of the different pieces to the sign interior. So that's where, when we had first looked at this about a year and a half ago, and they came back with this design, we said, well, you can go through a comprehensive sign plan and get flexibility for those larger sizes. So you see here the proposed sign and the existing. And this did pass in front of the Planning Commission and was voted unanimously for approval. And so tonight, we are presenting it to you. The applicant is here and can add additional comments if they wish. And we will be back when the resolution time comes for a motion. Are there any questions for me?
The planning commission, everything was okay with it? Through the
They-
planning commission, everything was fine with that?
That is correct.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, my honor.
Thank you, and you might as well stay, I think. Okay, so we need to, do we have any comments on the public hearing?
No one's signed up for public comments.
No one signed up for comments, so we need to open the public hearing. Any comments? If there are no comments, we will close the public hearing. We have a second public hearing, a proposed special use permit for an accessory dwelling unit exceeding the maximum requirement of 800 square feet to provide additional space for handicap accessibility. The request total square footage is 985 square feet. It's at 227 Stone Mill Road, parcel number 018-7-3, and Mayana is back.
Yes. So yes, the second special use permit of the night. So Walter and Mary Herman are the owner applicant. Matt Bundy is the representative. This is, again, a special use permit. So this last year, when we worked through our zoning ordinance, one of the things that we added for the hopes of additional affordable housing in our community was the allowance for an accessory dwelling unit on basically every lot that allows a residential home. So that means if you have a primary resident, you can build a smaller structure on your property. attached or detached. And so in this case, what we did add is that we said the maximum area for these smaller units has to be no more than 800 square feet. But again, in order to try not to go through the variance process that often, we said the flexibility is that you can ask for a special use permit to add if you want extra square feet on your structure. So for this one, the accessory dwelling unit, there is an existing structure there. The existing shed, 360 square feet. They would like to add a porch for 104 square feet, a kitchen for 279 square feet, an entry for 59 square feet, a bath for 37 square feet, and a bedroom for 175 square feet. So they are actually looking for a request, and I'll come up and reiterate this when we get to the resolution. But the new structure would be a total of 1,014 square feet. So that is what they are looking to have. If you had looked in your packets and looked at the aerial, this parcel will fit that. It is an R3 high-density residential. Some of the staff findings for the record are whether or not this demonstrates that the proposed use, when complemented with additional measures, if any, will be in harmony with the specific district in which it's placed. The answer is yes. This is an R3 zoning district, so this would be compatible. Demonstrate that there will be no undue adverse impacts on the surrounding neighborhood for public health, safety, and general welfare. And again, this is an existing neighborhood based on the site plan review, the construction, that permitting process that we will go through. This will not adversely affect the community. And finally, that the proposal meets the specific and general standards of this article. And yes, they're coming through the special use process for extra square footage beyond the 800. So they're going through the appropriate process. So again, I hope that the applicants are here when we have this large of an audience. I'm not really sure if I can find them, but if they're here, oh, there you are. Come on up and add anything that you would like to the presentation.
So I'd like to open the public hearing, and we welcome your comments.
Well, hi, my name is Nestor. I work for Bundy A&E, actually. Diana pretty much basically explained everything, and everything is pretty much self-explanatory. I'm just here to add that our client would like for you guys to approve the fact that they will no longer in a few years be able to stay in their existing home, just because their existing physical conditions. So they would like to request that this approval be approved, that their existing extension be approved.
Are there any questions or comments? If there are no questions or comments, we will close the public hearing. Thank you so much. And now we have a third public hearing. Proposed zoning text amendment, Chapter 44, Land Use, Article 8, Division 4, Signs, Sections 8-4-3, 8-4-4, 8-4-6, and Article 11, Definitions, Division 1, in general, Section 11-1-2, General and Use Definitions. And Mayana is going to explain this one as well.
Thank you. So this is a little different than the two that we just saw. So those were specific to projects, those were specific to addresses and locations. This one that you have before you is what we call a zone text amendment. And what it actually is for is window signage. So in the past, we have never monitored window signage. But we have had quite a few examples lately, specifically with a variety of vape shops and those types of uses that have basically put lighted window signage throughout their entire windows. So as we all know, we're not able to actually comment on the topic when it comes to signage. So I can't tell you you can't advertise cigarettes. I can't tell you you can't advertise a business, but what we can do is try to limit sort of the sign clutter. And that's really what this one is about tonight. So the Planning Commission looked at the current sign language and they said, yes, there are a couple of items that they would like to ensure happen to keep to keep our business districts clean and organized and orderly. So Window signs on the interior of windows are allowed when it comes to hours of operation. So no one is limiting that. Lighted window signage that is located inside or outside of windows is where the limitations come in. So those types of signs would be prohibited. This is not talking about a sign that is coming through and getting permitted through the process. This is talking about all the lighted signs that are inside windows that say CDV and vape and the things that we are currently experiencing. So those would be prohibited. The other item is that signage, we've added to the table where window signage would and would not be permitted. So it would not be permitted in the agriculture zoning districts. It would not be permitted in the residential districts, but it would be allowed 10% of the window square foot area in buildings that are in all the commercial districts. So you can still have signs in your windows, it's just not gonna be where they cover the entire space, block out essentially the interior, and have the entire window be signs. So, I will always say that our zoning districts and our zoning ordinance is a living document. So this, things like this come up when we continue to see a repeat concern in the community. So window signs, interior, window signage seen from a public right-of-way would not be allowed without HPRB approval if it was in the historic district. And finally, the last item defines what window signage is. And so window signage means a sign painted, stenciled, or affixed entirely within or upon the flat surface of a window or door, or placed immediately behind the window so as to attract the attention of a person outside the building, but excluding merchandise in a window display. So again, if you were displaying your, mannequins with clothing on them, that is not considered signage. So those are your three public hearings for tonight.
Is this only for new applicants moving forward?
Yes, let me just let me reiterate that always for those people who may be listening. Thank you for that question. When zoning goes into effect, it is not retroactive. So it is for new businesses, or if you owned a business and then you moved out of it and somebody else moved in, then those people would have those restrictions. That is correct. So tomorrow morning, if you adopt it, we are not going out and regulating all the existing window signage.
So I'd like to open the public hearing. Is there any further discussion or questions or comments? There are none. We will close the public hearing. Thank you, Mayana, for all of your hard work. I know. Okay, now we're going to move on to what I feel like is the most important part of the night. We have a resolution before us to declare the council's support for naming the Interstate 81 Bridge over Cummings Street at exit 17 the quote, Master Firefighter Cameron B. Craig Memorial Bridge, end quote, and petitioning the Virginia Commonwealth Transportation Board to concur with the decision. So I'm going to allow Mr. Cochran, our town manager, to present this to us.
You want to read that?
Oh, I can read it, yes.
Did you want me to read it, or
Or
like
you-
it
yeah,
fire chief
sure.
read it?
Or I can read it, or,
Yeah, no, the fire chief is really.
oh, the fire
good at
chief is
it.
gonna read it,
Yeah,
yes.
I was just asked to, isn't it?
That's wonderful, thank you.
Bigger font would have been nice. A resolution declaring the council's support for naming the Interstate 81 Bridge over Cummings Street, Exit 17, the Master Firefighter Cameron B. Craig Memorial Bridge, and petitioning the Virginia Commonwealth Transportation Board to concur with this decision. Whereas Cameron B. Craig was born on June 3rd, 2003, and whereas Cameron B. Craig graduated from Trigg Street Christian Academy, and whereas Cameron B. Craig joined the Abingdon Fire Department on May 27th, 2022, and whereas Cameron B. Craig succumbed to injuries when the Abingdon Fire Department truck he was a passenger in crashed while responding to a call on Thursday, October 19th, 2023, and whereas Cameron B. Craig lived a life of dedication, even at 20 years old, And whereas Cameron B. Craig had an unwavering passion to serve others, especially by working with the Abingdon Fire Department. Whereas Cameron B. Craig responded to countless emergencies, risking his life to protect and save lives of others. And at the same time, his bravery and dedication to keeping our community safe was a testament to his Christian character. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Abingdon Town Council, 1, recognizes the many contributions of Master Firefighter Craig to the town of Abingdon, Washington County, and the Commonwealth of Virginia, and 2, expresses our condolences to the family and many friends of Firefighter Craig, and 3, supports the General Assembly's actions to name the Interstate 81 bridge over Cumming Street in memory of Master Firefighter Cameron B. Craig, and 4, declares its support as a lasting memorial of fallen Firefighter Craig for the designation of the Interstate 81 bridge over Cumming Street, exit 17, the, quote, Master Firefighter Cameron B. Craig Memorial Bridge, end quote, and for the installation of appropriate signage to make the designation visible to motorists traveling on both Cumming Street and Interstate 81, exit 17, and urges the Virginia Commonwealth Transportation Board to promptly concur with this designation.
Thank you, Chief. So I would like to entertain a motion to accept this resolution.
I'd like to put that into motion.
Second.
So we have a motion presented by Vice Mayor Anderson and seconded by Mr. Austin. Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, Kim, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Pillion.
Aye.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to all of you for being here.
If I may, Cameron's dad is in the audience, Mr. Dale Craig. He's here with us tonight. He came by to be with us for this resolution, so we appreciate him coming to be with us tonight.
We're so glad you're here.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Craig. We appreciate that.
Town, thank you for everybody, all you've done for us.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is a resolution approving a proposed special use permit to renovate the existing digital marquee sign located at Jonesboro Road and VHCC Drive intersections, specifically at the entrance to Virginia Highlands Community College, as presented previously by Mayanna Rice, the Assistant Town Manager and Director of Community Development. Do we have a motion to accept this resolution?
So moved.
I'll second.
So the motion was by Mr. Webb and seconded by Vice Mayor Anderson. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, Kim, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Pillion.
Aye. Next, we have a resolution approving the proposed special use permit for an accessory dwelling unit exceeding the maximum requirement of 800 square feet to provide additional space for handicap accessibility. The request is total square footage, 985 square feet, 227 Stone Mill Road, parcel number 018-7-3. Once more, we have Mayanna Rice.
I just wanted to clarify for that one that the new structure will be a total of 1,014 square feet. So when you make the motion, if you can include that, so they are not limited by the size that was advertised.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion with the increased square footage.
I'd make a motion to adopt the resolution with a total square footage of 1,014, is that what I heard? Square feet?
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Webb, a second by Vice Mayor Anderson. Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, Kim, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Pillion.
Aye. Now we are going to move on to the first reading of ordinances. An ordinance for a zoning text amendment, Chapter 44, Land Use, Article 8, Division 4, Signs, Sections 8-4-3, 8-4-4, 8-4-6, and Article 11, Definitions, Division 1. In general, Section 11-1-2, General and Use Definitions, as presented by Mayana Rice. Do we have a motion to accept this ordinance?
Do we want to waive the second reading?
Would you like to make a motion to accept, adopt it, and waive the second reading?
Yes, I'll.
Okay, so Vice Mayor Anderson has made a motion to waive the second reading and adopt the ordinance. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Webb. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, can we please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Pilian.
Aye. We have no second reading of ordinances. We also have no consideration of bids. So we will move on to new business. And first of all, we have Woodard and Curran, the quarterly update for the Wolf Creek Reclamation Facility. And we have Ryan Sullivan from Woodard and Curran. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having us. I think I know everybody except Councilman Austin. It's nice to meet you.
I'm the newbie.
Yep. My name is Ryan Sullivan. With Woodard and Curran, I'm the area manager for the Wolf Creek Water Reclamation Facility. We're coming up on 2 years. Hard to believe it was a rough 6 or 8 months at the beginning, but this is Chris Pritt, who I think everybody knows. Yeah, right? Still rough, but he does a great job. He's on site every day, manages the day-to-day operations of the facility and the staff. We've just got a couple slides. We don't want to take too much time here. But just some of the general updates. We've got a staff of 17. Our contract started in 2021. The transition started about, I guess probably in the summer of 21, officially signed for beginning of the year of 22. It's a 5-year agreement, and it's for comprehensive O&M services, operations and maintenance of the water treatment plant and the entire collection facility throughout the town, or the collection system throughout I apologize, I'm slow. I was traveling all day, so I'm running at about half energy here, so my apologies for skipping around. We've got a staff of 17. We were able to keep 4 employees from previous, and 1 collection system operator came back later after a few months of being away at another municipality. I think we're probably at where we need to be based on the workload. We've got a couple people that Chris moves back and forth between operations and collections based on what the activity is and what's going on. And we have had a little bit of turnover lately. We had an operator leave a couple weeks ago and a couple collections people. We're starting to see some pressure from not only in the Virginia area, but pay scales increasing with municipalities. So we've got to keep an eye on, and Chris and I will get our HR team involved in making sure that what we're paying people is competitive with other local municipalities, because what happens in the water treatment business, you train people, you get them to get licenses, and then other municipalities pick them off because they're ready to go and they've been trained. So there's always pressure, like any industry. There's always pressure with jobs and staff and personnel, but we try to keep on top of and keep ahead of that, so we don't run into short staffing. Chris could go through some of the accomplishments and initiatives. He's way closer to it than I am.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's almost been 2 years since I've been here, but it has been rather challenging. We came in, like Ryan said, we only had a few people, that were existing, so we had a lot of absent knowledge, of the facility and the system itself. But my goal has been to try to build the right staff, put the right people in the right positions, develop policies and procedures, and a system that's good for the town for the long haul. And so I think we've got a really good core group of people. Of course, it's been challenging to keep the facility operating with a lot of the outdated and obsolete equipment that we do have. And, we've been finding $40+ million worth of needed improvements so far. We know there's more. As you probably saw last week, the emergency repair that was done on Main Street out near True Point. We just happened upon that, reacting to another issue. We noticed the line had collapsed. So we know there's a lot more, but we're gonna work. We've been partnering with the town management to try to improve upon things and make the right decisions there. And hope we find funding to fix some of these problems. The Lane Group has done a PER of the facility and the pump stations. We've had some of our engineers come in from Weir and Kern recently, just sort of do their own evaluation of things as well. We're looking at maybe changing some of the types of equipment that we utilize to maybe make it more efficient and more cost-effective for the town for future operations and management, operations and maintenance of those systems. So we're continually having to work on certain equipment to keep it up and running. So we did go through a DEQ inspection this year, and I'm sort of off the slides on my own thing. But, we did DEQ inspection earlier this year, and they were really impressed. They had 0 findings of anything, which is kind of rare as far as the operation and the record keeping and the way things were going. So we, by far, meeting our permit limits. We went through a permit application process this year with DEQ as well, and we'll be issued a new permit starting, will take effect December 1st of this year. So we'll be on another 5-year permit going forward. And with that, some of our permit limits have been decreased, so that means it'll be a little more challenging to meet those limits, but we'll meet it. I guess that's about it. Does anybody have any questions? We're going to work continually with the town going forward to try to, accomplish a lot of our goals as far as upgrading our systems. We've got some, I think, funding through DEQ right now for a new pump station at Southview and the force main there. We're looking at some additional funding. We know we have issues electrically with our system, and we don't have a generator currently at the facility. We do have 2 power sources, but no generator that operates the facility if there was an issue. So we recognize a lot of problems, so now we're in the stage of trying to figure out how to fix them and get to where we need to be going forward in the future. Questions?
I would just like to point out that the emergency has been repaired. So thank you for being on top of that and getting it fixed.
And I feel like it was repaired quickly and rather painlessly.
There's a big hole too.
And I think they found another water line that Washington County didn't realize was there as well. So.
Yeah.
We've been finding that a lot. We have utilities come out to check for their lines, and we start digging, and there's an electrical line or a water line, or a gas line that they didn't know was there. So we're finding that quite frequently.
Sometimes 811 doesn't catch it all.
They don't.
Mhm.
Yeah, they don't. So.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you all
much.
so much.
Appreciate the time.
It's a pleasure to be here working with the town.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay. The next thing we have is the approval of a contract for the Meadows Splash Pad recirculation tank. And I have my on it, but it looks like we have Kyle instead.
I'm gonna talk a little bit.
She's gonna give you a chance to talk.
Yeah, I'm giving her a break. I hope you all are doing well today. I'm gonna talk a little bit about our splash pad, what we have and what we would like to make improvements upon. Currently, our splash pad is what they call a flow-through splash pad. Water comes out of the fixtures, kids playing it, goes down the drain, and it's gone. Because of the popularity of the splash pad, our monthly water consumption averaged around 1.5 million gallons a month. So to give you all an idea of how much water that is, we could fill that outdoor pool a little more than 3 times. So it's a lot of water.
Wow.
It's a lot of people, it's a lot of water. And that was an average water bill of $11,763 per month for the season. So a lot of water, a lot of money. To address both the water usage and costs, we're proposing installation of a recirculation tank. This system is similar to a pool, comes out of the fixture, down the drain, into a filtration system. So we have something similar, we already have the pools and are pretty familiar with that work. That wasn't installed during the original construction due to budget constraints, but we believe that it's important for long-term savings. We've consulted with some installers and manufacturers, and the estimated monthly usage of water once that construction is done is about 1.2 thousand gallons a month. So it's a considerable savings on consumption as well as the bill. The recirculation tanks do have a little more hands-on labor than what we have now, but we have the staff, and we're more than equipped to manage the system. Militia Wynn, the assistant director, she has an AFO, it's an aquatic facilities operator certificate, so she is able to help us with that. And we already have established protocols for managing bodies of water, and then the chlorination process is also automated, which it ensures that we can effectively handle the additional system. While trying to put together these project quotes, I spoke to several different companies. They kind of have silly names. So one's called Rain Deck, the other one is called Rain Drop. Both of those companies don't work on existing systems that they didn't install. A company called Sparks at Play, they were willing to do the work, but essentially they'd have to dig up all the rubber poured-in-place flooring, take out all the fixtures, put in new fixtures, and then patch those, which would be it's just a whole new splash pad at that point. And then Adventure Play Systems, I talked to them. They also only do work on their equipment, but they only operate in certain states. But the salesperson there was really generous with his time. He and several of the other companies that I spoke to recommended sticking with our original installer, since they're familiar with the site, know the location of the utilities, and understand the specifics of the installation. Our original installers, Carolina Recreation Design, have submitted a quote totaling $150,000 on the nose for the entire project. I think you all have a copy of that, but that includes an underground reservoir tank, filtration system, chemical controllers, a structure for all of that to go in, and then the labor. I think their familiarity with the site will allow for a smooth transition in that. We can also, I spoke to the salesperson today, if we can go ahead and get on their list, they can guarantee that the work will be done by the spring. So it won't affect the opening at all. And if y'all have any questions.
And did
about
we
the
get any
program.
other quotes from any of the other people, or we didn't take the
They
time?
didn't
get
want to
it?
put a quote
I
in
got you.
because of, essentially, they don't want to touch other people's work.
I understand.
since it's so new, yeah.
And just point of order, the system obviously is real new, so it's fresh. We met out on site with the folks that actually did the installation, so they know exactly what everything is. And then when they're gonna put a new structure in, they're gonna replace one of our structures, so they're not looking at 3 separate ones out there. They're gonna take one and swap it out for something larger, so.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit bigger than what we have now, and then a tank underground.
Yeah,
which you won't see.
so you won't see it. The tank is gonna be 4 to 5 feet off of it'll be far enough away that if the structure or the footprint was to change at some point in the future, it'd be far enough away.
I assume the structure will be similar in architecture to what we already have?
Yeah. It's a little bigger. It is bigger to hold all those components, but.
Sure.
And if there's any questions about the financial end of that, I'll probably direct you to Steve Trotman. He's the expert.
That's pretty easy math. So how many months a year do we have the splash pad open?
It'll be open May through, I closed it pretty late in September, because there were still people using it.
So this will all happen before we reopen?
3 years we
That's
paid
what they're
for
telling
it.
me.
Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
it's basically 3 years we break
Yeah,
even.
3 or 4
Is the
years.
break even point. Makes
Plus, it
sense.
sounds like it's greener.
Definitely, yep.
Yes.
So to reiterate what Mr. Cochran said a moment ago, and he and I talked about it a little bit today,
Yes, sir.
this will be located in a position such that if there's future expansion of the splash pad, it will not interfere with that.
Yes, sir. It's offset closer to the, I'm trying to think, the circle in front of the White House. It's
Right.
coming that way. There's still, there's room for expansion going like towards the soccer fields.
And what about the capacity of this tank? Would it support additional expansion of the splash pad?
I think the whole system would probably have to have an addition to it if there was a larger splash pad, because this recirculation tank is made for the features we have now.
And no more?
No, sir. Not that I'm aware of. I could double check on that, though.
Maybe something to think about,
Yeah.
playing off of what Wayne's saying, you know, if there's a potential to put a little bit larger tank in, just for
Okay.
potential future
Yes.
expansion, it may be worth an extra 10 grand or something.
I could ask them about that.
Rather than having to dig it back up and, you know, add on and so on
Yeah,
and so
that's it.
forth.
Yeah,
Maybe
what-
something to think about.
Yeah, I just didn't know what the, like, pump capacity of, is the,
I think there, in the quote, there were like different options for tank sizes, and I think they gave us the tank size that fits
Right.
okay,
the capacity of.
so, yeah, I mean, if we want, we can always add to it or adjust the motion to get some leeway to.
I'd like to be able to do that in case we expand, because as you correctly pointed out, it's been tremendously popular.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
And, you know, I go by with some regularity just to see what's going on. There are a lot of people that are using it, and a lot of times it's quite crowded.
Right. I think if there was an addition made, it would require almost a separate system.
Okay.
Because of, in that box that we have, there's basically a water line per fixture. So you would have to have like a whole nother
Okay.
box for that to fit in. I don't think that's like impossible to do, but it would require a separate.
Well, let me give you a little bit of background on it. I'm a member of the Abingdon Rotary Club, which co-sponsored this project.
Yes, sir.
We worked for at least 5 years, perhaps longer than that, in raising money to help pay for the project, and the town paid the balance of it. And I was on the committee that met with representatives of the town and tried to determine what was appropriate for the splash pad. We were told at the time that, and the Rotary Club was a proponent of using a storage tank for the water and recycle it.
Yes, sir.
We were told that it was not necessary, that the water simply went back into the water tank, which we had no choice but to accept at the time. And so that's how we ended up with using fresh water and putting it down the drain.
Right.
I didn't think it was a good idea to begin with, and I still don't think it was a good idea to do that. But in any event, we didn't have much of a choice at that time. But it was discussed and considered,
Mhm.
and was in the original plan to do that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and just for consideration too, that we did actually hire a well drilling company, and we went down to a little more than 500 feet trying to find a fresh water source. And the amount of volume that this water takes, we could only find 15 gallons a minute was the most we could find. So at 15 gallons a minute, it's not enough, because each fixture takes, I believe, 5 gallons per minute when it's running.
Yeah.
So you have to have a fair amount of water. So it's ideal to have a pressurized system like this and save us some money in the long run. I did try the free option first, which was the well. That's what happens when you're in the mountains.
Well, it sounds to me like you all did a lot of homework and have really
tried
thought
our
about
best.
this. Yes. So, when we get into the financials, I don't know if we have any questions for Steve, But I think that the first thing we need to do is to move to allow the interfund transfer of $150,000 in interest earnings from our ARPA fund to our general fund. And then we need to move to utilize those funds for the recirculation tank for the splash pad and authorize the town manager to enter into the agreement with Carolina Recreation and Design. So we have two separate motions, unless we have questions for Steve. Otherwise, I will entertain a motion to move to allow the interfund transfer of $150,000 of interest earnings from the ARPA fund to the general fund.
I would move that we do that.
I will second that.
Okay, so we have that motion was made by Mr. Austin and seconded by Vice Mayor Anderson. So now we need to move to utilize the $150,000. I'm sorry, we have to vote. I got ahead of myself, I'm excited about this. So is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, can we please call the roll for a vote?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Pealy.
Aye. Now we need to have a motion to utilize the $150,000 transferred into the general fund for the recirculation tank for the splash pad and to authorize the town manager to enter into the agreement with Carolina Recreation and Design.
So moved.
So second that motion.
So that motion was made by Mr. Austin and seconded by Vice Mayor Anderson. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Pealy.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay. So now we have the presentation of the Sinking Spring Cemetery Master Plan, and we once more have Mayana Rice here to talk to us about this.
We have a lot of things going on with the cemetery, so. All right, so 2 years ago, Sinking Spring Cemetery Board presented an annual report to you all, most of you, that said, here's a list of deficiencies. I think it was in an afternoon meeting on the other side. We took that list, and, we basically set our mindset that we weren't going to just look at the cemetery for now and think, well, what is being said to us, but instead really look at how to preserve the cemetery for another 250 years. So we took that, and that has become our #1 goal. We're not just saying, okay, we'll fix a few things. What we did do is we did work with the board, and we made several changes, primarily in the Public Works Department, because that's where a lot of the concerns were. The first comment was staff are bumping into the stones when they mow. So what was our solution? We now mow a buffer around the stones. So if you see that there's some vegetation that grows up around the stones, we've changed our mowing pattern. That protects the stones. Second thing was the staff are weed eating, and when they do that, they're cutting into the stones every time they weed eat. So what did we do? This season, we limited the total number of times that Public Works is actually weed eating right up against the stones. The next complaint was that Public Works staff were nicking the flat stones with the mower, like the ones that are, monuments that are right in the ground. So what did we do? We raised the blades of the mowers. Another thing was that the family plots were being damaged because our equipment is too big. So the family plots are the areas that are actually surrounded by a stone or a fence. So if you go out there, a lot of the stones are in different places, but the plots are the ones that are surrounded by stone. So we did two things there. The first thing that we did is we have established a adopt a plot program. So if there's an individual or a group or perhaps a college student that has a real passion for history and they want an interesting volunteer opportunity, similar to Adopt a Highway, they can adopt a family plot. And so we launched that last month, and out of the 40 family plots, I think we have 15 adopted now. So people have really taken to that. It's exciting. You get a t-shirt, you get an adoption ceremony, which we're about to put into process, And so it just creates kind of a fun way for the community to get engaged with our history and our community and take ownership of those areas. It kind of started with actually Donna's church. They had a group that came out and they did such an excellent job. Kids were out there, the whole community was out there, and they got in and they weed eated close to things. They were very careful. They used smaller pieces of equipment. And so that really was a kickoff for what we have launched for the entire community. So it's been a great way to branch that out. The other thing that we have done is we've limited the number of times that we actually mow inside those family plots each season. So we're not mowing all the time with the chance of nicking something or having a piece of equipment that's too big. So those two things really have solved that. So overall, I think we listened and we fixed that low-hanging fruit. And what I will say is in the last year, where we used to have people take pictures of broken stones, bring me piles of rocks and different things, I have not had anyone stop by with a picture of a broken stone or a pile of rocks. So we did the low-hanging fruit. What we now need to do is take all that excitement and energy from the group that currently is very interested in the cemetery and develop a master plan for the cemetery. And that will be, so there's a path forward for maintenance and enhancements into the future. We had our Abingdon Historic Preservation Day, and somebody said to me, well, why do we need a plan? Like, why do we need a plan? And I said, it is the hard work of the people that have the passion today that will solidify the future. So because there's interest, because there's excitement over something that is 250 years old, and the fire department can tell you that when we first took it over as the town, it was completely covered in weeds and brambles and all of that, and they painstakingly uncovered all the stones. So we're taking our responsibility and just basically kicking it up to the next level. And so that's what the hope is for the cemetery preservation plan. So as you all know, you can't do anything without money. So what did we do? We actually had our grant writer apply, and we have received a grant for this project from the state. It's for certified local government dollars. And so we do have to add some matching funds, but at the same time, most of this is being paid for with that grant. We put out the RFP. We had 2 applicants who we interviewed and ranked, and so tonight we are asking you to make a motion authorizing the town manager to sign a contract for JMT to work on a cemetery master plan for the community and with our cemetery, Sinking Spring Cemetery Board. So if you have any questions, I can answer them. Otherwise, that is the request for the motion.
Are there any questions for Mr. Rice? Okay, so if there are no questions, then we need to entertain a motion to authorize the town manager to enter into an agreement with JMT to complete a cemetery master plan.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
So the motion was made by Ms. Quetch, and it was seconded by Mr. Webb. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Field.
Aye. Okay, we are getting so much accomplished tonight. Consideration of agreement with Davis Brothers Roofing and Sheet Metal Fabricators Incorporated for Sinking Spring Cabin Cedar Shake Roof System.
So to piggyback on to Mayanna with the preservation plan there in Sinking Springs, I reached out to 3 contractors to discuss potentially replacing the cedar shake roof on the Sinking Springs cabin. It has had a tarp on it for about a year. It's something that is needing to be done. It is a little costly, but so tonight I'm here to ask you that we have roughly $26,000 and some dollars, Steve, in a cemetery trust fund, and I would like to take $24,413 of that to appropriate it into the general funds, and then I also have Mr. Cochran to sign this agreement with the Davis Brothers on the replacement of the Sinking Springs cabin roof.
So I understand we need to have two motions in
Yes.
order to do this. Before we do that, do we have any questions?
Just out of curiosity, how long does a roof like that, like what's the life expectancy of a new one?
So the new one is 40 years
Oh, nice.
on the warranty.
And you feel comfortable with the bid, is that the lowest bid?
That is the lowest bid. I had two other bids. One was around 26,000, the other one was 32,000.
When can it be completed?
As soon as I give them the go-ahead, they will put it on the list, and hopefully here within the next 2 to 3 months, we'll have it completed.
And then part of it is, it's the cedar shingles. It's done in a historically accurate way to preserve it, not just, there's a lot of cheap ways to do it, but when you're dealing with history, it's always a little more.
How
But
old
it-
is the roof that's on there? Do you know?
I would say it's well over 30 years. I don't know
Wow.
exactly, but I would say 30 to 40 years. So.
Okay. Sounds like you have also done a lot of homework on
ma'am.
this. Thank you for that.
I did ask him to try and find Amish craftsmen, but we could not find any, so we had to go with the third bid, so.
So we need two motions. First, we need a motion to allow the interfund transfer of $24,413.48 from the cemetery trust fund to the general fund.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so motion by Mr. Webb, second by Mrs. Quetch. Do we have any discussion? If there's no discussion, Kim, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Pili.
Aye. And now we need to have a motion to authorize the town manager to enter into an agreement with Davis Brothers Roofing and Sheet Metal Fabricators Incorporated to replace the Sinking Springs cabin roof. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So that motion was made by Mr. Webb and seconded by Ms. Quetch. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, Kim, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Pili.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you, Maya.
Thank you guys for your hard work on that. No old business. We do have some business and communications from the town manager. First of all, we have the recognition of our treasurer, Tammy Baldwin, for 30 years of service to the town.
So what I wanted to say is, I was talking with Kim this morning, and 30 years, it may or may not be a long time. So Beanie Babies came out the year that Tammy started with the town. Everybody remembers how fun they were. So Beanie Babies came out, the average new car price was $12,750. And now that's the average repair bill, I think. And gas was $1.16 and $4.14 to get into the movies. But Tammy's been here, come on up, Tammy. Tammy's been here all that time, and she works hard. She's been in the clerk of council's office, or the treasurer's office. She's done all the jobs in there, and now she does the main job. And you can always tell if it's a work day because her car's here before anybody else gets to work, and it's here after everybody. When I first got here, I was setting the alarm when I leave, and she's like, "You locked me in." So yeah, she's here all kinds of hours now. I know when she drives, I don't lock her out. But she's been with the town for 30 years, which is really a tremendous accomplishment. And she every aspect of what we do in the treasurer's office as the town. I mean, she knows it in and out, and it's been a lot of work for her. I know she works hard at it. So I just want to say thank you for 30 years of service. It's tremendous, and your work's appreciated. So
Thank you.
Hey, the first job that I ever had, me and Tammy started at Lowe's Foods together. Tammy was actually running the front, and she was handling money then. Very responsible. I was the bagger. She was cashier. Eventually, we ended up opening that place up and shutting it down, the both of us. So, Tammy, I'm really proud of you. Congratulations to you, Tammy. I love you, Tammy.
Yeah.
Love you.
I'll stay on the side. But yeah,
Not often do we get a 30-year employee.
No. I mean,
We go way back, don't we?
Was that?
Me and Tammy go way back.
Yeah.
I think her husband worked with us as well too there, didn't your husband, we meet your husband there as well too, Tammy? Did we meet your husband there as well too? Yes, we did. We did.
And now we also have the recognition of employees of Green Acres Assisted Living and Abingdon Fire Department members for response to a fire at the facility on October 17th, 2023.
The chief's going to come up, but when he comes up, the thing I wanted to point out, let him come on up, but we have Captain Marty Berry and Master Firefighter Mark Gobble. And the neat thing about, you come on up, the neat thing about having the firefighters that are part of the community, like in the business model we have for the fire department, is before the dispatched unit actually got to the scene, the captain and master firefighter actually were, they heard the commotion from their homes and were able to get to the call before our trucks got there. And it really is neat, but as part of it is, we have a lot of people in town that have served the fire department for a long time. It's just, I wanted to just mention, it's really nice. They came from their house and ran out and took care of business. And fortunately, the fire chief can go into some details, but the folks on scene at the assisted living facility actually did the lion's share of the firefighting that day.
Yeah, so on October 16th, we had a fire at Green Acres, which is used to be Abingdon Manor on Bradley Street. And they had a resident there that was unfortunately smoking in bed. And there was a fire. The staff, and I think 4 or 5 of the staff are here tonight, and I'll get them to come up because I think they need to be recognized for they did some heroic stuff. You know, you have, in my opinion, the best fire department in the world. There's a lot of them sitting behind me. They make my job easy. But from the time we got the call to the time that Captain Berry and Master Firefighter Gobble got there was about a minute. The fire truck was there about a minute behind them. But by the time they got there, the staff of Green Acres had already, there was 5 of them working that day. They had already evacuated the building. They had pulled the person out of his room, started extinguishing the fire because unfortunately his clothing was on fire and they were extinguishing the fire, so they were to pull him out. So, you know, I'll be happy to give them applications because they did a great job. But I would like to recognize them and recognize members of the fire department. So we have Elizabeth Thomas. Elizabeth works in the office. She's the office manager. Come on up, come here. If I got to stand up here, y'all can come stand with me. It'd be okay. We have Sue Bailey is also here, and George Woods. Oh, and Angie Shelton. And there's also Matt Freeman was also there. He was the cook. But that day, you know, one of the employees yelled that there was a fire.
He heard my big mouth up the street.
Yeah. And so she ran down the hallway, went in the room, found that there was a fire, was able to help effect rescue with one of the other employees while everybody else was getting all the residents out. And they did a masterful job of doing something that most people run away from fires. These folks, through their training and what they did, saved lives that day. And it's just important that we bring them here, that we can recognize them and recognize them in the public, because had they not done that, had they not followed their training and their plan, then surely there would have been at least 1, if not 2 lives lost that day. And so we just like to thank them for a job well done.
We would like
Thank you all.
Would you like
Thank
a
you
picture?
all.
We're going to get
Yes.
a picture with the council.
Picture. Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, come on. I had to do a lot of talking to get him here. I said,
We're glad that you're all here.
Come
on, guys.
And so while they're all coming to get their picture, it's important to know, and Mr. Cochran said this, our business model for the fire department since 1808, you know, for the camera to see, 1808, we've been around a long time. We're only 30 years younger than the town is. And all of our folks that work for the fire department used to do it for free. Now we pay a small stipend to them as part-time employees. But when the tone goes off, when the phone rings, these folks drop what they're doing. They quit raking their yard. They leave their families, they leave their kids, they leave their job if they're able, and they come to help the citizens of the town of Abingdon, Washington County, to do something that most people would never even dream of doing. So I can't tell you, as their fire chief, how proud I am. And I know that being with the town of Abingdon, it is extremely important that we just, every once in a while, we got to show a little bit of appreciation, not only to our citizens, but to our firefighters, our police officers, all of our public servants. Because as you all have said multiple times, we have the best staff, bar none, of any locality. And it doesn't matter whether you're Public Works, the rec department, the fire department, the police department. Without these folks, we wouldn't have this great town to live in. So I just want to say thank you. Right over at the end, everybody just smile. The application.
I'm gonna tell you, you did a great job. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's so funny, because I had only been walking 3 weeks from an accident. I run faster than I've ever run in my life. Yeah, that was good. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
You had a couple more.
Okay.
Oh.
Yes, go ahead.
All right, great. So the next thing, and Fire Chief just mentioned, a great staff, great community. I said twice this month. Once I had a person walk up to Town Hall and leave us a letter just going into great detail about how appreciative she was, about how great the town's been looking, how great it looks, and she has a store on Main Street. And it was just so nice to see that someone took time out of their schedule to handwrite a letter and then walk it up here to Town Hall and drop it off. And they wanted nothing from it, didn't even give me her address. She just was very appreciative. And I think it's so unique because people are often very quick to complain, but very slow to recognize that type of work. And interestingly, later the same week, I had a phone message from a guy that literally was just calling to say thanks, and he couldn't believe how nice it looks, and it was complimenting our staff. And it's just, it's nice to be in a community where people care that much and are so respectful that they'll take time out of their schedules to do that. So I just want to say thanks to our staff for making it happen, and thanks for the community for being so great. The last thing we have just to look at is dates for upcoming meetings. If that was, I don't know, if you want to tackle that, or
Table it.
Does everybody have calendars available? Or we can?
Or we can-
Okay, we can.
you push it?
We'll put it up to December then.
Okay.
Let's do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sounds good. And that's
do my homework.
all I have.
Okay. So council member reports. Does anyone have anything to report today?
Well, I just want to say that we had the Veterans Memorial Day last Saturday up at the Veterans Memorial Park in Abingdon. I thought that went really well. The weather was kind of pending there, but we did look like we had maybe about 200, 300 people there. Just some special thanks I'd like to give out. One to the fire department for bringing the flag there. We really appreciate that. Everyone that's on the Veterans Memorial Park board, including Councilman Wayne Austin and everyone else in there. The Bagpipes group was there as well too. I don't want to leave anybody out that's on there. The Washington County Sheriff's Department, the Washington County Sheriff's Department Honor Guard was there as well too. We did have the Sons of the American Revolution there, Over Mountain Victory Trail Association, and Daughters of the American Revolution. So just want to thank Lee Saunders and Emmett Erie and everyone that's on the Veterans Board. That turned out very well. A couple of things I want to throw out there that's happening this week. November the 19th, we've got our Abingdon Townwide Merchant Open House. That's going to be on Sunday, November the 19th. I think that will start at 1 o'clock and we'll end at 5. There'll be several things going on at the Abingdon Visitor Center. I think there will be serving hot cider from 1 to 6. Virginia Highlands Community College Choir will be out there as well from 4:30 to 6. Santa will be there from 5 to 6. And there will be a tree lighting ceremony at 5:30 or 5:15 p.m. So we'd like to invite everyone, if you can make it out this Sunday, to the festivities that we're having downtown. It's going to be the tree lighting ceremony, and all that will be at the,
Across from the post
yes,
office.
across from the post office, yes.
Anything else? I'd just like to highlight a couple of things. First of all, well, the big thing is that today we had a ribbon cutting on another great addition to the Meadows. And so the Skills Park and Pump Track are officially open. And one of my kids was there immediately after school today. And he said it was great and that there were lots of people there and it was lots of fun, and he did not hurt himself yet. So I consider that a success. They asked me when they interviewed me today for the news if I rode a bike, and I said, yes, I ride a bike, but I do not ride a bike like that, because then they would have to call some of you guys to come and save me. So I don't do that anymore. But it looks like great fun, and it's a top-notch facility, and I am really, really proud of that. And we completed it ahead of schedule. We had lots of people donate their goods and services, and our staff worked really hard. So it is fantastic. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's certainly a highlight for me. Anything else? So we have several appointments to boards and committees, and I am assuming that we would like to go into closed session for this. Am I correct? Okay, so pursuant to the Code of Virginia, 1950 is amended, Section 2-2.2-3711A1, for the purpose of considering applications for appointment for positions on Sinking Spring Cemetery Committee, Infrastructure Advisory Committee, Tourism Advisory Committee, Board of Zoning Appeals, and/or Historic Preservation Review Board. We need to have a motion to go into closed session. Would you like to?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so the motion was made by Ms. Quetch. It was seconded by Vice Mayor Anderson. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Pilgrim.
Aye. come back in. She wants you to read us in.
Is he asking us or telling us that he's ready?
So we need to have a motion to enter back into open session.
I make a move that the town council certify that
No,
closed.
we have to come back into.
We have to make a motion to come back in and then do that, sorry.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Ms. Quetch, second by Mr. Webb.
Mr. Webb.
Is there any discussion? If not, can we please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Pillion.
Aye. Now we need a motion to certify.
I'll make a move that the town council certify that the closed session just concluded nothing was discussed except the matters specifically identified in the motion to converse in closed session lawfully permitted to discuss under provisions of the Virginia Federal Freedom of Information Act cited in that motion.
Mr. Austin, do you so certify?
I so certify.
Ms. Quetch.
I so certify.
Mr. Webb.
I so certify.
Vice Mayor
I
Anderson.
so certify.
And Mayor Webb.
I so certify.
Mayor Pillion. Sorry.
I didn't even notice. Okay. So now we have some appointments to make, and I think that we are ready to make a motion about those appointments.
Yeah, so I'd like to make a motion, and I want to do them kind of in one fell swoop. For the Sinking Spring Cemetery Committee, we want to appoint Carrie Tudor to fill the expired term of Richard Morgan. For the Infrastructure Advisory Committee, we want to appoint Tyler Venzel for the expired term of Charlene Trulick, Taylor Bettis for the expired term of Charlie Fugit. For the Tourism Advisory Committee, we want to appoint Amber Fiorini for the Barter Representative. For the Board of Zoning Appeals, we want to reappoint Kenny Schuman, and for the Historic Preservation Review Board, we want to reappoint Betsy White.
I'll second that motion.
Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, Kim, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Aye.
And Mayor Pillion.
Aye. So I will call our meeting to a close. Thank you so much.
Mayor, you're gonna have to learn to hit that hard.